Hello, everyone. Welcome to our sixth webinar. And today I'll talk about the Goldilocks effect and the just right condition of digital reading. This is a top new trend in digital reading, and let's discover what it is. Here's what I'll cover in the first half. A recap on the story of Goldilocks and the three bears. What is the Goldilocks effect? What is the just right condition of digital reading? As always, I'll be answering all your questions at the end, so save them for the end. Now, Goldilocks and the Three Bears is a classic and popular fairy tale about this little girl who enters a house in the forest that actually belongs to three bears. The bears are not home, so Goldilocks explores their home. She gets hungry and gets to the dining table and sees three porridge bowls. She tries to sit in the dining chairs. One is too big, one is too small, and one is just the right size. Once she fits in the right size chair, she decides to try the biggest bowl of porridge. It's too hot. Apparently, it's Papa Bear's. The other porridge bowl she tries is too cold. Apparently, Mama Bear likes to eat cold porridge. And then she finds one that is just the right temperature. And that is actually Baby Bear's. And she eats that. After eating the porridge, she gets sleepy and she sees three beds. She hops onto the first bed and finds it is too hard. It's obviously Papa Bear's. She tries the next one, and that is too soft. It is Mama Bear's. Then finally, she finds the Baby Bear's bed that is just right, and she sleeps in it. Now, the story ends when the bears return and discover Goldilocks. She wakes up and jumps out of the window, never to be seen again. Now, this story is all about Goldilocks struggling to find things that fit her just right. So let's find out how Goldilocks is related to reading and what is the latest buzz in digital reading. What is the Goldilocks effect? Now, very recently in 2018, a study was performed by Dr. John Hutton, a researcher and pediatrician specializing in emergent literacy. In this study, children in and around the age of 4 were exposed to 3 different forms of story narration. The first one was audio only. The kids were just listening to the story. The second was audio with static illustration. These were picture books which were being narrated, and the kids were listening to these storybooks with static illustrations. The third was dynamic animation, which is cartoons. Now, after observing the children's brain patterns in a functional MRI machine, which is totally non-invasive and safe, what emerged was called the Goldilocks effect by Dr. Hutton because of the similarity in what Goldilocks experienced in the fairy tale. The dynamic animations and cartoons, according to Dr. Hutton, were too hot. Children were having a tough time figuring out what was happening in their mind as it was being overstimulated. The audio-only version was described by Dr. Hutton as too cold. The children were having a tough time understanding what was being said because there was no visual aid or clues to give them any context. The picture books were actually the best, where the children's understanding of the story was maximized. Children were being challenged just the right amount while also learning a lot more than the other two methods. And for these reasons, Dr. Hutton concluded that narrated picture books are just right, where the children were forming visuals from their own imagination while also learning new vocabulary. Now, this study clearly shows that animations are actually harmful for learning to read. Animations and cartoons may entertain your child, and attract them. They might be just glued to them, but they actually cause more harm than good. Your child might actually be getting hyperactive because of overstimulation of the brain. Your child might also lose the ability to focus on a particular task for a certain length of time. We all know how our attention spans are already reduced because of so much stimulation of social media and cartoons and TVs all the time. Your child might also start to find it too hard to make visual connections on their own, and evidently start to struggle to read. So Smart Kids Club books have zero distractions or animations that will take the child's focus away from reading. Smart Kids Club follows the just right condition of digital reading with our read along books, where we have audio narration and static illustrations to maximize reading comprehension and your child's understanding of the story. Now, we even go a step further. In addition to the just right condition of digital reading, we also use word by word highlighting with the audio narration. This actually mimics the reading with finger tracking that we do with paper books. It keeps the focus of the kids on the word that they are reading. The learning is much faster as they're using the audio to hear the word and visual of the word is being highlighted. This is great for kids with auditory processing disorder, language processing disorder, as the kids can hear and see the words again with the ability to repeat as many times as they want. Our visualization techniques enhance listening and comprehension and enables beginner readers to learn the correct pronunciations right from the start. The word highlighting or the read along feature is available in our read to me mode. All our books in our library have two modes of reading. The number one is read to me mode, which is the default mode. This is where the books read aloud to the child in a human voice with word highlighting. Read myself mode is where the kids read the book themselves and is more for proficient readers or once the child has become a confident reader. The narration in the read to me mode is in human expressive voice instead of robotic voice. Why is it important to make sure that it is in a human expressive voice and not a robotic voice? Let's see why. I would like to play for you a robotic voice versus a human-based expressive voice. Which one do you connect with more? So let's check it out. Now, first I'll play the robotic with you.
My cat toy can run.
And now I will play the human.
My cat toy can run.
So obviously robotic is more mundane, whereas human expressive pauses at the right places. Another study confirms that children pay more attention, are more engaged, and remember the story more and use more of the new vocabulary they learn and hear with an expressive human narration as compared to a robotic flat voice. So this is what Smart Kids Club uses, a human expressive voice in each and every one of our books instead of the robotic flat voice. To sum it up, we need to educate, not animate our kids. Exposing young children, beginner and early readers to too much animation will actually harm their brain development. Children need to practice reading and forming mental pictures based on the words that they read. Develop images and bring them to life in their minds from their own imagination. If children don't practice with enough just right reading content, ultimately when they are exposed to reading books, they can be overwhelmed by the demands of processing the language. This could result in them becoming reluctant readers. Their brain will not be able to get the most out of a book. The visual center of the young children's minds need to be pushed. And the best way to do it is by encouraging them to hear stories along with some form of static illustrations that help with context clues. Strong reading skills form the basis of all future learning and academic success. It is best for parents to keep your children away from animation when they're beginning to learn to read, are struggling or reluctant readers, and are yet to gain reading proficiency. According to Dr. Hutton, in an ideal world, you should always be there to read to your child. But we know this is not always true. Parents are busy, have other work to do. But results of this study suggest that when parents do turn to electronic devices or apps for young children, they should choose the most stripped down version of a narrated illustrated books, as opposed to either audio only or animations or cartoons. Keep in mind the Goldilocks effect. Choose just right digital reading for your children and keep them away from cartoons and animations. Smart Kids Club app follows this just right condition and offers authentic reading tool for your kids. Here is a demo of one of our books with human narration and word highlighting and attractive illustrations that go along with the text. And for all those parents who already are using Smart Kids Club, I would say it's a brilliant choice that you've made for your kids, and congratulations for that. So let me play a video and you will get an idea of how the just right digital condition should actually work.
Tara and Joyce are good friends. Tara likes to play with Joyce's cat, Kitty. Joyce likes to play with Tara's dog, Buddy. One day, Tara is at Joyce's house. She wants to play with Kitty. She looks for Kitty in the house.
So I hope this has been useful to you in understanding that we need to keep our kids away from animations and robotic voices. And what is a thumbs up is audio with static illustrations and human expressive narration. So whenever you're choosing an app, if you're undecided or you're looking at several apps, choose an app which does not have any animations when the child is engaged in reading. There shouldn't be any distractions, no bells and whistles, no fire alarm syndrome, because as soon as there is any distraction or a noise or an animation, your child's focus is taken away right there and then, and their learning is interrupted. So educate and don't animate. I hope this was useful. Thanks for attending. And the topic for our next webinar is how to challenge your kids to read. Now, some kids only respond to challenges. I know that, there are many kids, when you throw a challenge, they will be up for it. No matter how much coaxing or motivation you do, they only respond to challenges. So I'll talk about how you can use challenge to increase their reading time. The webinar will be at the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, next Saturday, 21st November. And thanks again for your time today, and thanks for attending. We will now take your questions.